Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In educational assessment, we will discuss classroom tests today. The first topic is type of test forms used in the classroom. There are different types of test forms which are used in the classroom. These can be essay type, objective test, norm reference test, or criteria reference test. But we will concentrate on the essay type test and objective test. These are the most common tests which you can easily construct for your purpose in the class. Essay type test. This is the type of the test introduced in this country by the colonial education. In this case, the testee or the students have the responsibility of thinking out the answer to the question asked. They have the freedom to express or state the answer in their own words. It is a free answer kind of test. It is used by teachers to measure achievement, performance, etc. from classroom instruction. In this case, you will have the opportunity to write what you can. At this stage, you have a good idea of essay writing since you have studied essay writing in your English classes. So, before we look at the two types of the essay test, let's see the distinctive feature of essay test. These are the students answer small number of questions because of time limits, usually not more than 2 or 3 hours of examination. Students are required to answer in their own words, nor more than 5 or 6 questions. It is not always that all the topics covered are covered by the essay type of the test. So only 5 to 6 questions are asked in essay type test. The scripts are written in the student's own style, word, and usually in his own handwriting. In some cases, spelling error as well as poor language and handwriting affect student result. So, other than knowledge, here other factors also involve the result, and these factors include handwriting of the student, writing style, spelling mistakes, grammar, and words. The students are considerably free to organize their own answers. This implies that students with varying degree of accuracy and completeness. It encourages creativity by allowing their own unique way. It discourages guesswork and encourages good study habits in students. Essay tests are of two variations. These are extended response type and restricted response type. Extended response or free response type of essay test. It is the type of the test where questions are asked in a way that the answers demand that the student is not limited to the extent to which he has to discuss the issues raised or question asked. For example, the word limit is not introduced here. You can freely write as much you know and as much you want. The student has to explain and organize his thoughts in order to give his answer, put his ideas across by expressing himself freely, precisely, and clearly using his own words and his own writing. Student discuss the question at length, giving various aspects of his knowledge on the question asked or issue raised. The second type of the essay type test is restricted response type. In this type, the questions are so structured that the students are limited, the scope of the response is defined and restricted. The answer given are to some extent controlled. Let's see some example. For example, give 3 advantages or 2 disadvantages of essay test. This is here you have like put the limitation of only 3 advantages and 2 disadvantages. Similarly, the question can be state 4 uses of test in education, explain 5 factors which influence the choice of building site, mention 5 rules for preventing accident in a workshop, state 5 technical drawing instruments and their uses, describe 4 sources of energy, define helix and 2 application of helix. So you can write such more examples. So what are the uses of the essay type test? The essay test has got some advantages in the business of measurement and evaluation. These advantages are number one, the essay test permits a freedom of response, which in turn allows the students to present their ideas as detailed as choose so so as to show how deep knowledge they have in the subject area covered by the question. Secondly, the free response form allows the student to express himself in his own words, making use of his proficiency in the language being used to his advantage. Thirdly, essay test promotes the development of problem solving skill. This is because the student has to think out the answer himself and put it down in organized form. It helps students to improve their writing skills such as writing speed, legibility, etc. because they write in their own handwriting. The essay type test is easy to construct, and this is why this is very popular type of the test. There are some limitations of the essay type test. Number one, subjectivity in scoring is the greatest disadvantage here. The scoring is not reliable because different examiners can grade the score answer differently. In fact, the same examiner can grade the same question differently at different times. Grading of essay test is time consuming. Essay questions do not cover the course content and the objectives as comprehensively as possible. Good command of language places individual students at an advantage, while poor command places some students at a disadvantage. So, very first factor, which is the disadvantage, is the subjectivity of the examiner. If he is in good mood, maybe he will give you more grades. Secondly, it takes a lot of time to check the test. Thirdly, it such questions do not cover the whole course. And fourthly, the answers they are affected by the command of the language. If you have good command of language, then you can write very easily. But if you are poor at grammar, at spelling, and in your vocabulary, then it will be very difficult for you to write a good essay. So, how to make essay type test less subjective? We said that subjectivity is a major limitation of the essay type test, but you can reduce this to the barest minimum following these tips. Number one, avoid open-ended questions. Number two, let the student answer the same questions. Avoid options or choices. Thirdly, use a student's number instead of their name to conceal their identity so that you may not know whose paper is this. Thirdly, use students after using the student's number. Then what you will do, you will score all the answer to each question for all students at a time. Like first question for all the papers will be checked at once, and then second question for all the paper will be checked. Fifthly, do not allow score on one question to influence you while marking the next. Always rearrange the papers before you mark. Next, do not allow your feelings or emotions to influence your marking, and avoid distractions while marking. Uh, so, these were some ways through which you can make your essay type questions less subjective. And do not get yourself involved while you are checking the essay type questions. A second type of the test are the objective test. The objective test, otherwise regarded as the new type of the test, derived its name from the fact that the marking is done with a standard key. This key concept is that the students are provided with a problem to which a limited number of choices are presented for them to select the wanted answer. It is so much structured that even where the student is to supply the answer, he is strictly limited to give specific and short answers. But students are given the opportunity to react to a large sample of questions which may cover the entire content area. The figure below shows the subcategories of the objective type test. From the figure you can see that objective type test can be supply test items or the selection test items. Supply test items are divided into further short questions, are completion answers, are they there must there can be some other type of the selection test item, and here you can see four categories. The first category is the arrangement, where you will arrange the answers, and the second one is the true false type of the questions. Matching choice are multiple type of the questions. So matching choice may be column type of the questions where you have to match the choices, and MCQs, this is the most popular type of the objective test. So uh, overall we have like these categories of the objective type test. Number one is the short answers, number two completion, number three arrangement, number four true false, number five matching, and number six MCQs, multiple choice items. So supply test items. This is the type of the test item which requires the testee to give very brief answer to the question. These answers may be a word, a phrase, a number, a symbol, etc. In order to write effectively supply test item, you should make use of these tips. Construct the question so as to be as brief as possible. The question should be carefully worded so as to require an exact answer. Make sure that the question have only one answer each. Supply test item can be in the form of a short answer test items, which requires that the testee should provide a short answer to the question asked. For example, who is the Senate President of the Nigerian Senate? Of course, it will be a name. And second question can be, what is the technical drawing instrument used for measuring angles? Or the question could be, the two instruments used for cutting screw threads are tap and dash. So you can write here one word answer. The two instruments used for cutting screw threads are tap and dash. Which of the energies is used for motion? The second type of the such test are completion test items, which require the testee to provide or complete one or more missing words in a sentence. For example, a triangle with all sides and all angles equal is called dash. The process of splitting a leg of wood into planks is called dash. Dash is a special chord passing through the center of circle. Third type of the objective type tests are selection test items. This is the type where possible alternatives are provided for the testee to choose the most appropriate or the correct option. Can you mention them? Let us take them one by one. Number 1. True false. This is the type a statement is presented to the testee and he is required to state whether it is true or false, yes or no, agree or disagree, etc. There are only two options. Examples. In the statement below, answer true or false if the statement is correct and false if the statement is wrong. The T-square is used for drawing horizontal lines. Could be true or false. Wood can be hardened and tempered to improve its qualities. Yes or no. Any material which obstructs the flow of magnetic flux is called resistor. Yes or no. The use of flowing garment in a workshop can cause accident. You can agree or disagree according to your information. The second type of such questions are multiple choice. This is very useful in measuring students' achievement in school. It is very popular and a widely used type of objective test items. It has two parts. The first is called the stem or premise, which is the question.
while the second is the suggested answer called alternatives, options, or choices. The correct option is the answer or the key, while other options are called distractors or distractors. Now develop an objective item of the multiple choice type and indicate the parts. Before we give examples of multiple choice items, let us examine the following tips on how to make good multiple choice items. Number 1. The stem must be simple and clear. Stem is actually the part of the question which has some clue or indication of the answer. All alternatives should be possible answers related to the stems, but with only one most correct or best answer to the question. So the distractor should be very near to the right answer. The distractor should be as attractive as the key and very effective in distracting testee who are not sure of the key. To avoid guessing, the correct answer should not be positioned in a particular way so as to form a pattern. It should be randomly positioned. There should be a minimum of 4 options for each item. 5 options are generally preferred. Avoid as much as possible the options none of the above, all of the above, or a combination of options like candid. You can now construct good multiple choice items using these hints. Let us see some examples. The two axonometric and planometric, B. Cavalier and planometric, C. Cavaliers and cabinet, D. Cabinet and axonometric, E. Pictorial and perspective. Second example. At what angle should projections line up to an inclined surface to obtain a true shape of the surface? A. 30 degree, B. 45 degree, C. 60 degree, and D. 90 degree. So, or you can also put E. 120 degree. So in this way you can put MCQs type questions. So in the teacher made test you can have essay type test, and this can be extended response or free response test or restricted response test. And the second type of the teacher made test could be structured response type or objective type test, and these could be further true false, matching, multiple choice, arrangements, completion, or short answer type questions. Thank you so much.